number 3 is Pandemic Legacy. We have already had a discussion about this game that was semi-spoiler, right?
Yeah.
And we've done the back and forth on it. So, if you want to watch a discussion of why this game is good, because it was in your top 10,
My top 10, yeah.
if you want to just watch a discussion of this game about why it's good, without having it heavily spoiled, watch Alex's top 10. I think it was 9?
I'll say 8.
8? I think you're right. So, instead, to make this worthwhile, we are just going to, hang it all out. Right? We're going to spoil everything.
Yeah.
Okay? So that there's a point to it. Alright? So, that means that I don't need to teach how to play this game, because if you're watching this and you haven't played Pandemic Legacy, shame on you. Shame. Boo! Boo! But it just plays like Pandemic with a load of twists.
Yeah.
Now this is, I was listening to Tom Vassel's discussion with Eric Semler about this.
So
And they
none of Tom's opinions are his own now, so you know.
That's what I found so interesting, is because I felt like their discussion was almost missing the beat. Because when they were discussing it, man, all I could think about was our characters. That's what I fixated on a great deal. So, let's meet some of our characters, right? Because, and I think it'll be quite interesting to see how much you guys remember them as well. Because I was going to say, hey, test me on the names, and then I worked out I remembered all the names. So, what was our researcher called?
Helga.
Doesn't say that on the back, does it? No, good. It was Helga. Alex should know her since he played her that many times. And she was co-workers with Luna, we'll meet her later, and rivals with Bob.
Bob.
And she was indecisive. Remember she picked up a scar?
Yeah. What did Indecisive make her real?
You could not do the build roadblock action.
No.
And she was really
When it
useful.
became
I mean,
utterly useless.
1,
to
2,
do
3,
so,
4,
so.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She played in 13 of our 17 games.
Yeah.
That is really
Because
impressive.
she's really useful.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, because
because
of
of
her
the
relationship with Luna. Because you see, Eric Summerall was saying that he didn't think the relationships were that important. But he played a 3-player game, you see, and I don't think they would have come up as much.
Maybe.
Right, then we
It
have...
depends how you play the game, though.
Yes.
Then we have the Virologist. And do you know what? This was the only character that I couldn't remember the name of. We didn't even give her a name.
No.
We never used her. Because she came in late, and we just didn't really dig on her, did we?
No. I think we're better
so-
people to use.
Then, what was the name of the operations expert?
He's the Chinese guy, isn't
No, he's
No.
that guy.
he? Oh, is that Bob?
That is Bob.
That is
Bob
Bob.
the Builder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was rivals with Helga.
Yeah.
And Bob only ever got to play in 2 games, both played by me. I was the wild card, really.
And he lost both
He
times.
lost both times. And he
No,
built...
because those are the 2 games where we used him to do something and then never followed through on it.
Yeah.
So
We used him to build bloody military bases, and then he got to turn
no,
up
but
and
not
blow them up.
early enough.
So that was Bob. So he had a terrible track record, which is entirely appropriate for the operations expert. Right then, next up, the dispatcher. I know you can remember the name.
Oh yes.
Can you remember the
I
name
remember the
of
name.
the dispatcher? You can look through my fingers.
No, I'm trying to look at his face.
The most netrunner character.
I can't remember his name. No.
Marco.
Marco! That's
Marco
right,
Polo.
Marco Polo. Yeah.
Marco.
And he was friends with Cleo as well. And he had PTSD. Lose your action if you start your turn in the region where you got the scar. And for some reason we didn't write the region. But
Because we never
again,
used him again, probably.
only
Up to that
played
point.
by Alec, but only 4 times. Which is a real tragedy, because he is so good. Although he had a...
Well, yeah.
There are better
The
characters.
4
there,
times
so.
I wasn't the research. I wasn't the.
Good point,
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah, 4
Yes.
times I wasn't.
But he's so cool. Like Mark, the dispatcher is just awesome.
Yeah.
So good. Right then. Now, Ben, I know you can remember this, can't you? Ben, you must be able to remember, yeah?
Kim.
Yes, Kim the
Because
generalist.
She has a relationship with Kanye.
She does. She's family members,
Family members
which
of
we did
Kanye.
deliberately. And she had 2 upgrades. She was a pilot, so she didn't discard a card when taking direct flight.
Oh,
so she
yeah,
was
that's
so maneuverable. That's one of the reasons Marco got faded out,
Yeah,
because Kim was so maneuverable. And she was forecaster, so she could look at the top 2 infection cards, which we often forgot, but occasionally
When we
so
remembered
good.
it was really.
So she was like this weather pilot,
Yeah.
like really cool. And then she had some more upgrades. She had the shady background, so she could play any card matching the colour of the city she was in to sabotage. So she could fly around and blow up military bases. And she was a hacker as well, so her hand limit was increased by 1.
Yeah.
She was brilliant. And yet, she only played in 9 games. Every time by Ben, player Kim/Ben. And she
I didn't
only
know
lost twice that she turned up. January, February, March, April, May, June. She only didn't play in July and December. That was it.
Yeah.
Wow. What a cool character. She was she was so cool. We
was
made
really
her so good. She was...
Which that extra action adds so much to the game. Because
Yeah.
you're always thinking, I'm
Now,
watching, I'm doing stuff.
If anyone can remember the name of the Colonel, right, I will be extremely impressed. I'll give you a clue. I named him. So following on from my naming conventions of Bob
Sanders?
the Builder, no, it was not Sanders, but not bad. I'm gonna kick his... You know what? I remembered this so easily. Mustardo. Colonel Mustardo. And he only ever played in 1 game. And it's the game where the traitor comes up.
Oh yeah.
And we won that game. And he was co-workers with
Mustardo.
Luna. I feel like I accidentally stuck that one on. I feel like I messed up one of the relationships. It was either Bob's or Mustardo's. And he was regretful. Which was the one scar you were actually like...
Well,
in
that
agreement
works because
with.
it's actually
Yeah.
role-playing.
So he was only in 1 game, but he had a 100% track record. So the opposite of Bob. Right. No prizes. I know you can remember. What's the scientist's name? This is either going to be the best video ever or the worst video ever.
I don't remember.
Oh, we've already said her name. It's
Luna.
Luna.
Right, yeah.
Claire's the most played character. Like, she was in 16 games. So she was in all but 1 game.
Didn't we only play 15 times?
No, we did not. I don't know why that said. I must have missed a play. Because that's 10. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
16
5, 6,
plays.
7, 8, 9, 10. And she wasn't in December.
Oh yeah.
So 17 plays it took us to win
Yeah.
to win the game. And she was in all but 1 of them. And every time played by Claire.
Yeah.
Like, this was Claire.
Yes.
And she
So
was
useful.
co-workers with Helga, which made her. Co-workers with Mustardo as well. She had archive access, so she increased her hand limit by 1.
Yeah.
And flexible, for an action she could discard a card to draw a card of the same colour from the discard pile, which
That
was
so
enormous.
useful,
And she was hobbled. She could never enter a fallen city. Because we were like, we're never going to send you in one anyway, you're too precious. Ah.
Yeah. But no, I mean that
Makes no
co-workers thing.
Yeah, that made.
co-workers. Yeah.
Uh,
Allowing the researcher to give cards whatever.
Don't worry, Ben, you've only got 4 more to remember. You've already cheated on that one. Right then. Ooh, now I would struggle a little bit with this one. The soldier's name. Can you remember from that look?
I remember. What
You
it
can,
was.
alright.
I remember what it was.
It's like Hank or something.
It's
American.
close.
Buddy.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy Lennon.
Buddy Lennon.
And who was the sluttiest of all the characters. He was played by 3 different people.
Oh yeah.
I played him, we lost. Ben played him, we lost. And Claire played him in December when she didn't play Luna. And we won. And he was rivals with Clea. So
Makes sense.
he was a pretty cool little
Yeah.
character though, wasn't he? Like always getting his grenades and like fighting stuff off. He was cool. Right then, the immunologist. Now you can work this out.
Oh yeah, I know. This.
Yeah. What was he was the last character we named.
I honestly
He,
can't
he,
remember.
he has a relationship with Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
Kim
remember.
and
Oh, Kanye.
Kanye! Kim Kardashian, Kanye West.
Yeah.
And they're family members.
If they've
Yeah.
gone down different paths in life.
Yeah, and then like the American Indian Kanye. It's so good. And Kanye was a hero, so he could scar himself
Yes!
to get to
God,
skip an
yeah.
infection phase.
And
So
both
we
the scars he took, he did.
Oh, and
Yeah.
and he was. I can't read it anymore. We took the upgrade that let him scar himself
Yeah,
more.
yeah. No, because both the scores he got, we did.
Yeah. He was monophobic, so he couldn't do the search action unless someone was in the same. He's very needy. Kanye is. He's pyrothobic. He couldn't take the sabotage action.
No.
Kanye ain't blowing nothing up. And paranoid. He couldn't share knowledge except with Kim.
Oh God, yeah.
And he played in 3 games and he had a 100% success rate.
There we
I
go.
Because
played him
incredibly
twice,
important towards
and
the end
you
of the
played him
game,
in
wasn't
December.
it?
Yeah, he was one of the much later
Because without him,
characters.
you couldn't get rid of the faded. So
Well, yeah, he was all about the vaccinating, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to do it.
Yeah.
he,
He was
generates more
awesome.
of them, doesn't he? So-
Right. Obviously, I can remember the medic's name, right? Can you?
Oh yes, yes, I got it.
Come on, Ben. He was in the game 11 times.
He saves.
This is like a group joke as well about the medic.
Oh, Jesus.
Jesus! Jesus!
Yeah, yeah.
My first named character.
Jesus
I
Saves.
played him 11 times, which is quite. I think most groups turn the medic into like the pilot, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they put everything into him, and we didn't do that. But Jesus occasionally went away, because he was like, I'm not taking part with any of these military people.
Exactly. But then came back.
And he had local connections, so he could treat diseases in a city connected to the city.
Yeah.
And he was a veteran, so like he joined the military, and then the military turned on us. Oh, it was so cool. And then the best twist in the game, in my opinion, is the traitor. Like, there's a
Mhm.
point where you discover a soldier, and he tells you that one of the people on your team is a traitor. And our traitor was the quarantine specialist. What was
You
quarantine?
could very easily lose Jesus though. Then.
We could have.
Yeah.
Which would have broken my heart. What was the quarantine specialist's name?
Clear.
Cleo or Kilo, as she
Kilo.
kept getting called. Ben played quite a few times. I played her once, and then she was never played again, and she's ripped in half and almost dunked in tea. But she had loads of stuff going on. She
Yeah.
was friends with Marco, rivals with Buddy. She had local pressure, so
Because
she was in a military
I
base.
used a lot of.
She
I
could
learned-
quarantine.
Because that's why one of our big points during the game was that we try and put down more military bases so that we could use Cleo's ability.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Cleo.
Because that's what she wanted.
Cleo enabled you to stop the faded so much.
Yeah, she could
easier
just stand there and
than-
go, quarantine, 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 quarantine,
It
quarantine.
was one of those things where you had the interesting option of do you play with Jesus or her in some cases
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she's preventative,
Yeah,
he's
Jesus
reactive,
couldn't
so-
go into Eastern Europe,
Yeah.
where the Faded were, but she was useless anywhere else.
Yeah.
And she also had paramilitary escort, so whenever she left the city with a faded figure,
She
she
could drop
removed
one.
one.
And that's why she was a traitor.
Was it?
Yeah, whoever you give paramilitary escort
Oh, it is.
to,
You're right.
And then
Gets
it's
the
And then if
traitor.
it wasn't,
military character. Or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like
it was
that.
the birthday of the next military character or something, because
Yeah.
they all had this. They all had their date of birth.
Yeah. which
And
is
importantly,
really
we gave Jesus a military symbol.
Yeah.
That's the thing that
Yeah,
made the
yeah.
difference.
Yeah,
So-
'cause if she didn't have that, it would have been Jesus.
So those were all the characters, and like we say that like like the first time the search track comes up, that's brilliant, and like when the very first game when it's like, oh, you can't treat black.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
well,
the hell?
We couldn't. I mean, it will be different for other people.
Different for everybody else.
No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
couldn't treat one of the diseases. I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like straight away, first game, there's a twist, and then it was that they become faded zombies,
Yeah.
and then like once it infects a city, that's now a faded city. Like that was terrifying as we watched Western Europe be consumed,
Yeah.
and we had to roadblock the Atlantic. Oh man, it was so cool.
Yeah. And, and we have to do the same on the opposite side.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah, we had to
like-
roadblock to Asia.
Yeah.
Oh man, and like blue became this joke of a disease because there were hardly any blue cities left.
Yeah.
Man, oh, it was so good. Apparently, a lot of people have played the setup rules wrong in Pandemic Legacy because they think you have to choose a starting space and then do starting infection. So people who built a research base in the coda section of the board could never start there because they couldn't risk Faded being there at the start of the game.
Yeah.
But you are meant to infect, then choose starting location, which we always did right, which was really interesting because we had like Istanbul, I think it was,
Yeah.
that was right in the middle of the Faded zone,
Yeah.
but we,
For a long time.
for a long time, we
wasn't
kept
famous,
going there
yeah.
because Kilo could just straight away be like, quarantine, 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 like covering everything. And then we had our score, which, oh my god, this, on the one hand, I'm so pleased I didn't know things were being scored, but on the other hand, like I'm like, oh, if I had known, maybe we'd have done something
Your
different.
game did enough as it was anyway, so.
And this is where we disagree because I'm like, you wanted to take like proper scars, and like the game's hard enough, man. Like,
No, but like Pandemic is hard, but the whole point of this was it was telling a story, and I genuinely think that characters should gain scars that make sense.
I don't think
it might make the game harder, but that tells your story in a different way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
rather than well, we never use this character, give them the scar that's really bad.
No.
So-
Well, that would never happen because you get a scar from a character being played.
Okay,
You know?
well,
I know what you mean. I know
use
what you
this
mean.
character because
Take a
she'll never
scar,
do that, or
Take
whatever.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, mitigate it through scars. But the nice thing about that is if you do try to do that, you are going to run out of the good scars eventually. But I know what you mean. I think we were I think everyone though playing this game is extremely scar conscious.
Yeah.
Like it changes it so much, and because your character's in peril. Do you know what I mean? Even if you take a harmless scar, you can only have 2 scars,
Yeah.
and then that third one you're dead. So like, and even a harmless scar, it's still
not
bad.
harmless.
Like not being able to build roadblocks. We hardly ever built roadblocks, but it could have come up. Do you know what I mean? Like anyway, that's so cool. Right then, so the final reckoning. So when we did our calculator, we got 40 points for each game won in the first half of the month. We went 7 months the first time.
Yeah.
Apparently we did play the game 12 times. According to this. No, ignore me, I'm an idiot. Then we got 20 points for each that won in the second half. So we got 7 out of 12 on the first shout, and then we got 5 out of 12 on the next shout. Because we never lost a month.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, we didn't.
We always won it the second time. Right?
So out of 480 points possible for the calendar, we scored 380, which is very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And then cities, you got 5 points for every 0 to 1. You got 2 points for every 2 to 3, and only 1 point for each 4. And we scored 169 points on the cities, which was 240 points maximum, which isn't quite as good. We had a horrible time in Europe where things really started to cascade.
There was 1 month.
Yeah,
which I
like
think-
a November and October where it
Yeah.
was just like sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we held on for quite a while, and then it's probably August or September. It was 1 month, and it just fell to
Yeah.
pieces.
Well, we got
So
100
hard.
bonus points for vaccinating every faded city. We did that. 100 bonus points for destroying the stockpile in Atlanta. We did that. That was one of those search trucks. 80 bonus points for not having any military bases on the board. We didn't get it. That's how angry I am. I've knocked out all the characters.
Yeah.
Minus 100 points if we opened package 8. We didn't. Minus 200 points if Team Bravo came to your end. They didn't. So we got 200 points out of the possible 280 bonus points for 749 total, which put us 52 off legendary scoring. So like, had we got rid of all the military bases, we'd have got that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how many there were left on the board at the end of the
There's
game,
one.
but
There's one.
You're
like,
joking.
South America.
oh
It was
god,
in like Buenos Aires.
oh that breaks my heart.
LA.
LA. Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's so bad.
The thing that was quite interesting there is, you said about how many times we played the game. I
Yeah,
think it was quite interesting where one of the things that I quite liked about the way the months worked is that sometimes you just had to realise you were going to lose
yeah,
Yeah.
so that you
Yeah.
could try and do one of the other things, because it really gives a sense of realism to it, because if all your team are going hunting for somebody in the middle of the city somewhere, they're not contributing to the overall welfare of the world.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stopping the
Could-
pandemic.
because-
Yeah, you can really see, like
there's a lot of the
here,
ones we
where
found-
they're repeated, where there were so many searches.
That's the thing. A lot of the ones who
Yeah.
failed in the first
The
first
search
half
ones.
were the search ones.
Yeah, where you
But-
said we have to do this
Yeah,
search.
yes. It's like we
Because
clear
if
the
you fail
search.
if you
and
fail
that's
that the
done.
second time, you've lost that person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, there was a way that it caught you up or something
well,
like that.
it gives you a character in that box,
yeah,
doesn't it? So-
but I know people that haven't managed to do it,
Mm.
and I think we made the right choice in doing what we did.
Well, all you have to do is that if you know you're going to lose, you mitigate the series, the
Yeah, you mitigate
cities
your losses.
that you're going to.
Because we'd have had to win
Yeah.
3 more games in the first month than the second month to get the points we need to get to legendary. And I don't think that we actually would have managed that had we ignored the searches, because we would have lost later months.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah. So there's just an explosion, just an orgy of love of the game. I'm just going to read out my comments because I wrote them. I said, it's arguably the best storytelling game I've ever played. As a co-op experience, it is almost unrivaled due to the legacy format. Every decision having lasting repercussions, meaning that you can really have some excellent strategic discussions. Everyone's got to weigh in, and there were lots of points where I felt like we did weigh in, which was really cool. Amazing feeling of leveling up characters. Like, that blows my mind that in Pandemic you level people up. Working together, of progression, of like getting the mutations on the diseases, putting roadblocks on the map, and like an evolution. You know, like the game changed every game. Every game it changed. It's both brilliant and held back by the fact that it's legacy.
Because you never played again now.
Exactly. Now, it's a bit like a video game, having a definitive end is both saddening and pleasurable. Like, you can't really play Mafia again.
No, and it's an open world game where you don't go back into the world because the end. I just played the ending of the game.
Yeah.
You don't go back into it.
Yeah,
That's it.
and
I drove away from the city.
Yeah, and that's both like
so.
I don't think this is. I said this in the other video, but I think it bears repeating. Is that this is very much a mid 2000 teens game because nowadays, how many games have we actually played to completion?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We've played this 17 times and each game takes about an hour. So that's 17 hours into that game. That is money well spent.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so good. Every game was so good.
I think what makes it a game that works really well as a cooperative experience as well is something that Pandemic did well anyway, in that it's you versus the game. And you're not.
Oh, you said this about Legacy. Yes.
Because if Legacy involved you versus one versus many, I don't think it would have the same lasting appeal. And I think that's what stopped us playing Descent, which is a progressive game where you get better and more and stuff like that.
That's true.
But because it's a one versus many, one side's going to feel put out by the ending of it.
That's a good point, actually.
And
Descent
why
is
we've
like
played,
a Legacy
and
game.
why we've played more
of
the other version of Descent, and I'm quite happy to play the other version.
Yeah, I really like Road to Legend.
Because Road to Legend is better, and I think a Legacy game.
Yeah, I agree. Actually,
it's you versus the game.
Because, for instance, Fury of Dracula isn't exactly the same because it's hidden movement, which is different. But if Fury of Dracula was like Descent or Legacy,
well, I think it
wouldn't work.
We've not played Seafall, but I think one of the reasons why Seafall hasn't done as well as it does is because it's everybody's playing for themselves in a Legacy format. So it might have a feeling about it where because one person might just be better at playing that game. Coming back to it every time might feel a little bit more.
But you could make the same argument for Risk Legacy, and Risk Legacy hasn't come as under attack as Seafall. I think the point that you made.
I think Risk Legacy is fine on that point because I think Risk Legacy avoids it because it's a simpler game. I think most people know how to play Risk.
I don't think it's that it's simple. I think it's what you just said there. It's a pre-existing property.
Yes.
I think that's what made Risk Legacy possible. If it had been like Dice Legacy, it wouldn't have been nearly as successful. And then to take a better game, Pandemic is a better game than Risk, and to make that Legacy, genius. And then instead they tried to make a Legacy game from the ground up, which on the one hand is better in theory, but it didn't really work.
Well, it's interesting because in some ways Seafall was his experiment to help build Pandemic Season 2.
For instance, imagine this. Like pure co-op in the sense that you all have your own secret objectives and there's no traitor, right? So you still got winners, right?
Yeah.
But pure co-op version, Legacy Dead of Winter. Imagine that scars are bites.
Yeah, well,
characters could die. You would actually build the colony.
It essentially becomes The Walking Dead.
And how amazing would that be?
That would be quite interesting, actually.
Wouldn't that game and Legacy and Crossroads and imagine the Crossroads cards. The Crossroads cards would grow. Right. Anyway,
there's also a hidden traitor involved as well.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But I don't.
Who has a progressive storyline that's continuing to play out, and he gets cards same as everybody else, but all those cards kept secret.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd want that.
I think
I don't
that'd be
know.
quite,
I
that'd
don't-
be quite interesting.
Well,
Like a long running season
I
thing
think
until
I
it's
would make
revealed and then-
one of the characters in the game the traitor.
problem with that, I just thought that as
Yeah,
well.
but then if you
Problem
play
with that, yeah. If,
No,
if you
I'd
play
have him
online, then I can't
become
do
a
it, so I can't.
traitor in a game.
Oh right, yes.
And so this game we are giving out loyalty cards, but what the legacy game would do, right, is there wouldn't be a traitor card,
Mm.
but everyone would think there was a traitor card,
But anyway,
and so it would artificially create suspicion. Whether and it's not like, and the next time we play this, we'll know that there wasn't one.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
But coming-
oh my god!
coming,
So good.
coming back to Pandemic
Yes, sorry.
then,
Right.
would
Need to email
you,
Plaid out.
with Pandemic, Season 2's been announced at this point.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
It's going to have a similar look to it, apparently, according to the board, but it has some sticker removal and sort of adventuring and exploration
Thank you.
aspects to it. Stuff like that.
Say anything about Pandemic Legacy.
Well, it's a spoiler. It's a spoiler-filled video, isn't
But
it?
Pandemic Legacy Season 1!
But since you bought season 1, will you buy Season 2?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah. No. I
Yellow or black?
And no. Before we finish,
So yeah.
if anything is carried over from Pandemic Season 1 to Pandemic Season 2,
Yeah.
what would you like to see carried over?
Ooh.
Characters.
Yeah?
Characters.
What-
And the origin
You're
city.
probably off screen at the moment.
Alright, I'm excited.
Characters. Part of me thinks it should be done in a way of depending on your score from if you wish to continue,
Yeah.
like if you depending on your score, you might get a certain bonus.
I would say the
To
other way
start it.
around. If you've got a good score,
Cool,
you should have a harder start because you're clearly good.
Yeah.
Like,
But it doesn't fit with the storyline then, does it?
could do.
Yeah.
Could do. Anyway,
But yeah.
but I
but
don't
yes.
mind if nothing follows over because the second I get my hand on the characters, I'm naming them the same.
No, I mean, I'm
I'd be interested if the disease stuff in some way carries over. Like, because of what happened with Coda, that has an effect on what happens in the next game because that's where it all sprang
Yeah,
from.
no, I don't mind if
So-
the coda carries on, but not the.
Well, no, obviously you wouldn't have any of this, any
Yeah.
of the bonuses.
I would also want to call them the same thing as well.
Well, yeah.
Except for coda.
And they're all well, anyway, I'm going to stop now because Tom will kill me otherwise.
If you talk about season 2, I will kill you. Right then. Super. So, awesome game.
Right.
Yeah.
Deserving of number 1 on BGG?
Yeah. Probably.
yes.